In this Minecraft video, I'm going to survive 100 days in Minecraft Hardcore. However, the entire world is a giant jungle. With the ultimate goal to kill the Ender Dragon, can I survive deep into the rainforest? Well, you'll have to watch and find out. But before we begin, I'd like to say there is still a massive 90+% of people not subscribed, and I ask that if you go on to enjoy the video, please consider doing so. It's completely free and it does help me out a lot. Secondly, you want 200 days? Well, if you get this video to 10,000 likes, I'll consider doing 200 days in this world. Alright, let's do this. Spawning in on day 1 and there was nothing but jungle. Yeah, I don't know what I expected. I knew this was going to be a really wild experience, so I just set up looking for... I don't really know what, to be honest with you. However, within the first couple of minutes, I was able to find myself a jungle temple. Inside the jungle temple, it only really had gold and some rotten flesh, but it was a nice start. I decided that this was the place that I was going to call home, so I started clearing out the area around the temple, which of course would require some stone. I set up a little caving area nearby and to grab some cobblestone. Problem that I was going to have in this world is that I have no wool. Nor food for that matter. And so with night quickly coming and no easy way to get access to food, I still had string from the temple, so I made this very safe fishing shack. I spent the entire night fishing, and on day 2, once the sun rose, I got the fish cooking. A few spiders that survived the night ended up meeting a cruel fate. I needed their string because I just thought that was the best way to get wool. Unfortunately, I didn't get near enough to actually get the wool that I wanted. I got back to fortifying the area by cutting down a lot of trees, and I started building a fence around the area because with night coming, I wanted to just make a somewhat safe spot in the jungle. Problem is that just like I didn't have wool, I also didn't have any coal, so light was going to be basically impossible to get. Wasn't too worried though. I had my trusted fishing pole to fish. Anyway, that's how I spent my night on day 2. Night 2? Day 3 and it was back to more spider killing. Still not close to the wool, but, you know, making little dints at it. I also decided to leave my base for the first time since I built it. Risky, I know, but I needed to get some extra materials. I was able to find some sugar canes, some pigs, a couple of chickens, and don't forget those sweet, juicy melons! I also started getting a bunch of parrots. So... I was gonna call them the pack. So the reason I make the pack joke is because a group of wolves or a group of dogs are called a pack. Obviously that doesn't work for a bunch of birds, so instead, bear with me a second, a group of parrots is called the pandemonium? That works for me. So here we have the pandemonium. I call them the pandemonium. After I got them tamed, I headed back home. I sat the birds down and started heading into the caves. I really need to improve my tools, and iron would definitely help in this situation. All of night 3 and most of day 4 I spent in a Y11 strip mine, and that's honestly about it. God, this sucks. By the time I was done, I had a solid 10 iron. Yeah. I decided to turn that into a shield, an axe, a bucket, and a pickaxe. And now that I was a bit more prepared, I decided that it was my turn to hunt the spiders in the night. And by the sunrise of day 5, I finally had the string that I needed. So the next night, I can finally get comfy and sleep away the nights. Good stuff. Since I was already awake, it was time for me to get busy with the melon farm. It's a little sad that I have to rely off the fat of the land to actually survive. Usually, it's just a simple case of vast cow slaughter. But I guess that's part of the challenge, adapting to the world that is there. I had a few ideas for a long-term base, and so I set up a nice little area in this jungle tree with a couple of chests in there as a bit of a storage unit. I mean, come on, if you're gonna do a jungle world, having a treehouse is an absolute must. And once I had the basics of that done, it was sleepy time. Thanks Christ for beds, eh? Day 6 and I was working on the base. I added a center tree on the actual tree itself. And after that, I added a jungle plank flooring just to make this a bit of a safe haven. Now you get it. It may have taken all day, but I think it's a really good start to the base. And look at that, the melon stems were now all fully grown, so all I have to really do now is wait for those melons to grow and we'll be golden. I ran out of the original meat that I hunted on day 7, and so now all I had was a fishing pole and a lake of dreams, so you know that I was going back to fishing. At least occasionally I was picking up a decent bow or a decent buck. Oh yeah, the food was nice too. The melons were starting to grow. The melons were starting to grow, so I spent my time expanding my melon farm. After that, I headed out into the surrounding area, and of course, within minutes, I find a group of sheep, which is great, you know. I spent all that time hunting the spiders for sheep to literally be on the doorstep of my home. I killed most of them, but decided to save 2 of them. I couldn't lead or breed them in any way because they didn't have any wheat, which raises the question, I'm 8 days into this world. How have I not started a wheat farm? What am I doing here? I got back on Dayline, and like that, I started the wheat farm right up. I did have a few bone spares, so I decided to start bone mealing the wheat. Mainly for more seeds, but the wheat was nice too. Using that wheat, I was able to drag the sheep over to my mass enclosure, and into this little pen they go. Look at all that space they could have. Look at the space that they got. I then got a tiny little bit of food, and as it was turning to night, it was time for me to pop back into a cave, which I was just about to do when... Oh my god, that's a zombie villager. If I get this into a pen, then it shouldn't despawn, right? Well, let's just casually get him in this little safety spot, if my Minecraft knowledge is correct. I mean, it might be a very long time away before I can get this zombie villager into a villager, but to have him nearby, that's a really cool change for me. And then I popped into bed, and now that it was day 10, it was actually time to try and cave and, well, find a cave itself. You'd think within 1.17 I'd quite easily be able to find a cave. You'd be wrong. A good 25 minutes later, and I quite frankly just gave up. I was strip mining the entire time. I was able to get an extra 20 iron, as well as 2 diamonds and a tiny bit of lapis lazuli, but there's just no caves anywhere that I dig. It's just weird if you ask me. Nevertheless, I got back home and started smelting the iron. I also grabbed a few melons for a snack, and then I did a bit of construction on the treehouse to make it more homey, let's say. At some point, I'm gonna build a bridge that other tree over there, but for now, let's focus on other things that I need to do. On day 12, I felt like it was starting to get a bit cramped in here, so I decided to actually expand the base itself by cutting down a couple of trees and placing a couple of fences. This time, though, I actually had coal, so let there be light. Who'd have thought coal would be such a rare resource in this world? That's crazy to think about. I think at this point I've got enough space, so maybe I can start building a couple more things. Yeah, after doing a couple more adjustments to the starting tree. I got that completed on day 13. I basically opened up the main tree and put a ladder on the inside, and then I made a little fence area around the main tree because I don't really want a sneaky creeper to pop up and, you know, boom. After that, I spent more time on the melon farm. I promise that's the last time I do that. On day 14, I was going to start that bridge from one tree to the other, but then I decided to do something easier instead. So the temple, I decided to make a nice little staircase down to. It was a really basic staircase, but I do like the style of it. And whatever I decide to actually do with this temple, I now have really easy access to it. So anyway, to that bridge. I'll probably do it after this caving trip. I was back in the caves on day 15. I really needed some iron. I really needed some diamonds. I just needed all of it, really. And after a solid 10 minutes of strip mining, I finally found myself my first open cave in Minecraft Jungle World. My god, it took forever. How long, you ask? Well, it was day 16 by the time I got in there. And for those who don't know, each Minecraft day is about 20 minutes. And so it roughly took me about 5 hours of in-game time to find this first cave. I should have just done the desert world instead. 17, 18, and 19 was a full caving trip. I basically just geared myself out. Iron was really easy to get. And I was also able to pick up a couple more diamonds. Oh. 9 more diamonds mean I had 11 in total, and I also got a good 30 gold to go with it. I wanted to keep going, but old habits die hard. I yet again ran out of food. I really need to do something about that. Once I got back and woke up on day 20, I decided that enough was enough and I wanted food, and I wanted it now. I got an extra 10 bones from my caving days and expanded the wheat farm even more. I was able to breed the sheep, which was quite easily, until I ran out of weed, that is. And once that was all grown and everything, it may almost be broken, but it was time for me to go back to the classic fishing. I really like this fishing pole. I should save it before it breaks. I decided to turn my 11 diamonds into tools. I gave myself an axe, a pickaxe, a sword, which all cost 8 diamonds between the 3 of them, and the other 3 I decided to save for an enchanting table. I quickly popped back into the caves to grab some obsidian. However, the closest lava pool was so far away, it was going to take me a solid minute to get back over there and grab the obsidian. 14 obsidian later, and I got back home and it was nighttime. On day 22, I actually thought of a use for the jungle temple. How about a nether setup? I set up a nether portal at the bottom of the jungle temple. I did a couple of tweaks for lighting and also got a couple of the vines out of the way. I think it cleaned up pretty nicely, and now I'm ready to pop into the nether. Not until I have more food, at least. Back to fishing, boys. I was preparing to make an enchant table when I came to the sudden realization that I've never found cows in this world. How am I supposed to get leather? Luckily for me, thanks to my old trusted fishing pole, I needn't worry. I can't tell if I'm too old or too young to say the word needn't. But let's just move on anyway. Though admittedly it's a really small chance, there is a chance you can actually catch leather from fishing. And after all of my fishing days, I picked up 3 pieces of leather. And that's all I really needed to make myself my first book and first enchant table. I had myself a fully enchanted setup of armor, tools, and everything in between. And after that, I set up an automatic cooker. Not sure I'll ever get a large amount of anything to cook, but it saves the minute seconds of the day. because, you know, my time here is very limited. On day 24, I risked the outside world again as I went hunting into the world. I wanted to see if it was possible for me to get some chickens. I also found a couple of pumpkins, which was cool. And at the end of the night, I actually did find myself some chickens. Here's the problem, though. I was 1,500 blocks away from my original base camp, so I could have spent the time getting them back, which admittedly would have been really annoying to do in a jungle world, just leading them with seeds, or I could come up with plan B. So basically what I did was I made this pen and waited for the chickens to lay eggs. I only needed one of those eggs to hatch, so hopefully if I just get a bunch, then I've got nothing to worry about. And what am I going to do whilst I'm waiting? Simple. Fishing montage! Yeah, I don't know what that was. I'm really sorry. On day 25, I'll be honest with you, I just left. I was done with fishing, and yeah, what was I supposed to do? You ever watch chickens just lay eggs? Sucks. After one packet of ready salted crisps and one diet Coca-Cola later, I came home to discover that I had obtained 13 eggs. Now, there is a 1 in 8 chance that a baby chicken will spawn from an egg. So I was hopeful I'd get at least one baby chicken from this egg. That's all I'd really need, to be honest with you. And so with those odds in mind, I decided to head back. I got back on night 28 and took a quick cat nap until day 29, where I made a little area for the chickens. I was lucky enough to get one of the baby chickens from the egg, and once I have the full chicken area set up, I will have a nice unlimited supply of arrows. However, I seem to have forgotten that whilst I was fishing, one of the bows that I picked up had infinity on it. Which raises the question, why did I spend so much time getting chickens? Ah well, they're cute. I'm gonna call this one King Petro. King of the chickens. I have way too much time on my hands. I really need to get onto that bridge, you know. Really got to start building it at some point. Anyway, on day 30, I went into the Nether. I took a sneak peek into the Nether, but for one reason, I just didn't feel safe. I don't really know how to explain it. I made a nice little panic shelter around the portal, and then I just left. I decided that I needed more armor just to feel more safe before I enter the Nether. I think it may be because of the lack of food, or the quality of food is just so poor. I don't know, I just didn't feel safe going into the Nether for the first time. I decided it would be best for me to get some more diamond armor. Better be safe than sorry. So I spent the rest of day 30 just getting a bit more food. I was going to prepare for some more caving. Once that was done on day 31, I popped into the cave and I spent the next 6 days down in the caves. I wasn't getting too many trips like this, so every time I could go into the caves, I wanted to spend a while down here. The ultimate goal is I wanted to get full diamond. Everything else would have just been icing on the cake. And so after 6 days, I didn't actually have enough for full diamond. I had 23 diamonds. I was one short of getting myself full diamond. However, I luckily remembered that I have 1 diamond still back at base camp. I was originally going to save it for a jukebox, but more important things have happened here. During these 6 days as well, I got myself 3 stacks of iron, 91 gold, 3 stacks of lapis, a stack of redstone, and some gold boots, because, you know, why not? I got back on day 38 with little food, shocker I know, and I started putting all of my stuff into the automatic cooker. I knew I'd get a use for it somewhere, and whilst I had some time to kill whilst I was cooking everything, how about I get a little bit of food? I also have the time, and I really need to get this bridge done eventually. So I started breeding the pandemonium. I call them the pandemonium. Or at least I tried to. Did you know that you can't breed parrots? What sort of daylight robbery is this? I'll go get more though later, don't you worry about that, lads. On day 39, I got myself full enchanted diamond armor. We can now get moving to the Funky Beat S Club 7 style. I never felt a lot safer now that I had full prepared diamond armor. I don't want to jinx anything, so we'll take our time here and I'm going to start searching for the necessary structures. 2 days later, on day 41, I found myself a bastion. I took a little look inside because I wanted to loot the chest that was in there when I realized something. I left my bow at home. And back home I go. It was the night of 41 when I was repairing my bow. Then I popped back into bed and then back into the Nether I went. I got back to the Bastion on day 42 and I played things really safe. I did not give a single pigling the chance to fight me in hand-to-hand combat. I bow spammed like a baby. And after all of that shooting, I had found it. Pig step! Woo! Now, if only I had a jukebox. Soon, people. Soon. Anyway, now it was time for me to do some fortress hunting, and here we are on day 43 where, honestly, I didn't find anything. I just want to spend this time reminding you that I'm super grateful that you guys watch my videos, and I do actually read all of the comments all of the time. Liking and watching the full video does actually really help me a lot, so if you want to support me, that's all the simple things that you really need to do to help me out here. Also, I don't really talk about this too much, but I do have a Discord, and I am often active in my Discord, so if you ever want to come and have a chat with me personally, come speak to me. The link for that will be in the description below. Anyway, that's enough selling out and thanking you guys. Let's get back to the actual video itself. On day 44, honestly, still nothing. I did find myself a second bastion, but I didn't go into it. There wasn't really a point now that I got pig step. Woo. However, I did find myself a warped forest, and so I made the decision to make up a little panic shelter and start killing endermen there. I thought it'd be the most simple time to get myself some ender pearls. There was no really easy way to get them in the overworld. This was definitely the easiest way to do it, so yeah, I'm just gonna spend my time doing this. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know if this was day 44 or 45, but by the time I got 20 ender pearls, I was done. Probably a little bit overkill in the grand scheme of things, but now that I've got that done, I can go back to fortress hunting. What I do know, it was day 46 when I finally found the Nether Fortress. Let's get right in there and grab as many blaze rods as I possibly can. Again, I wasn't really keeping too much track of the day counter itself, but I believe it was day 48 when I got my 20th blaze rod. I'm just gonna grab some nether wart and skedaddle. I also did actually get 3 saddles, though I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do with them. And once that was done, it was time for me to head home. I got myself back home on day 51, and man, was it a trip and a half. I was shockingly about to run out of food, but luckily for me, I'm back now, so I don't really need to worry about it. I can grab some food and start growing the nether wart as soon as I... Where's the soul sand? Oh, I didn't pick any up, did I? Remember, whilst I'm forgetting the basics of Minecraft, I'm technically getting paid to do this. You watching this video is giving me money. Thanks for that, by the way, guys. I appreciate it. Day 53, and man, I really gotta get working on that bridge. Anyway, let's make some potions. It was time for me to cure the zombie villager that I found all the way in the first 10 days. 1 weakness potion and 1 golden apple, and I'll leave him to it. Now, I need to get a second one if I want to start breeding them, and so I waited until the night and started hunting zombie villagers, which on night 53, I didn't get one. Once it turned to day on 54, I started expanding the farms, no biggie. I also, for the first time, started breeding the sheep, because, you know, as much as I love melons and bread, it's the greatest diet you could possibly have, I was really craving some meat at this point. I slept to day 55 and... Wait, I was supposed to wait the night to get a zombie villager. Bugger. Well, back to the farms and stuff. It's a shame that I never got any carrots or potatoes. I'm gonna just have to survive on wheat and melons for the most part. After I expanded what I could, I headed back to fishing. Not for fish or food, but this time I was actually going for leather. You see, I had 2 leather spare, and I needed a third to get a lectern so I could turn the villager, once he turns into a villager, into a librarian. So though it was going to take a while, I got to fishing and, well, I fished. And I did also spend the nights hunting for zombie villagers again, but no zip on night 55. On day 56, it was more fishing, and at night it was more zombie villager hunting, the honest usual. However, everything came up haven, and on day 57, firstly, I obtained the leather from fishing nice and early, and then during the night, I found myself a second zombie villager. I got him trapped, and everything was already ready, so 1 potion and 1 golden apple, and, well, I'll leave him to his cures. I basically just waited on 58 for him to turn into a villager, and there we go. We now have 2 villagers. Also, I didn't know jungle villagers have their own skins. If they have their own skins, why aren't the jungle villagers? That's a question for Mojang. Whatever the reason, I got one of the villagers to a librarian and I started trading paper to get emeralds. I also turned the other villager into a Fletcher and started trading sticks. The goal was to get 15 bookshelves because there was no easy way for me to get books otherwise. After I maxed out what trades I could possibly max out, I made a bigger area for the villagers. Day 59, and once I had the area ready, I moved them over into their nice little home. I mean, they can't really escape the home or anything, but it's safe here, trust me. Anyway, back to trading. With time to spare on the day, I got enough emeralds to start getting bookshelves until the villagers maxed out again. No worries though, I'm gonna make some beds and start leaving them to it so they can start breeding when they get the chance. 10 beds later on day 60, and I started giving them some bread, and well, we were golden. I gotta grind a little bit of wheat. Luckily, the size of the field at this point is just huge. So at this point, it's pretty much just a waiting game. I think I really gotta make a mob farm at some point. That'd probably be the easiest way to get most of these mobs. It'd probably be the easy way for me to get bones and bone meal. At least that's what I'm thinking. And since I've got time for this wheat to grow, well, I've gotta build that bridge, so, well, I started building it. Why, what did you expect? Day 61, 62, and 63 was a mixture of me slowly building the bridge and picking up wheat for the bread. A very simple concept for the bridge overall, but honestly, I kind of like it. Once I completed the bridge, I started working on a similar platform to the original tree that I had, and well, by 64, I had it completed. At that point, I wasn't sure exactly what I'd do for this tree, but it was just nice to have the tree in the nearby area that I can have easy access to. And then it hit me on day 65 when I got my 15th bookshelf. I was going to turn that other tree into a level 30 enchanter. I was also looking in the Nether Fortress to pick up 3 extra diamonds, and so I was able to make myself a diamond pickaxe with a level 30 enchant on it, and that was about as good as it got. I then grindstone most of my armor to give them all level 30 enchants. Luckily, I had the levels to do most of that. Protection 4 on both my helmet and leggings. The helmet wasn't too great, but I couldn't really afford to redo them, and I didn't also have the levels for my boots. I'm gonna pop quickly into the Nether, grab the levels, and then I'll be able to do them afterwards. We're going to the Nether, we're going to the Nether, we're going to... On day 69... Why are you smirking? I finished my enchantments and I got Feather Falling 4, Unbreaking 3 on my boots, and to be honest with you, that's all I really needed. I actually got Protection 4 on my helmet as well, so everything was Protection 4 by my boots, and I'd rather have Feather Falling than Protection 4 based on this world that I'm in. During the time on day 70, I got my first adult villager from breeding, so I thought the best thing to do was to try and get a mending book because my armor was honestly quite damaged. And so it was a classic game of place it in a lectern and see what they give. I kept doing this all the way until day 72, where I decided to take a little break from doing so. I made as much bread as I could and got back to breeding the villagers. Anyway, back to the trading. 74, and I finally got the mending book. I just now need to get enough mending books to trade everything, and well, I'm gonna have fully geared armor. 74 was more of the same. I was just getting as much emeralds as I possibly could to get myself enough mending books to give to all of my gear. I did have to buy 3 more bookshelves, which definitely slowed down the process, but that was the only decent way I was gonna get books. And by the night of 76, I got myself 8 mending books. That's all of my armor, 1 for my pickaxe, 1 for my sword, and 1 for my bow, which I forgot I couldn't put on my bow because it had infinity. Also, I'm not sure why I got 8, considering that I only needed 7, so... guess I just miscounted there. I also forgot to upgrade my sword, so I didn't actually put the mending book on my sword just yet. There's no point in grinding it straight off after doing a level 30 enchant on it. And so on 77, I went back into the caves for 2 reasons. The first reason is that I wanted to increase the durability of my armor, and the second reason was to get enough levels to do a level 30 on my diamond sword. And by 78, I got myself more than enough coal. All of my armor was basically full, and I had 30 plus levels to do the enchanted that I needed. I decided to stay a little bit longer though. It was day 80 when I got 36 levels and a few extra goodies, so I headed home. I stone grinded my sword, and after 2 attempts, I was able to get sharpness 4, fire aspect 2, unbreaking. Now I just need to add mending on there, and my gear is about as good to go as it possibly can be. On day 81, I was noticing that a few zombies were sneaking into the base and trying to get to the villagers. And so just to be safe, thanks to the pumpkins that I got very early on, I made myself 3 iron golems just for the extra layer of protection. After I got that completed, I knew it was time for me to take on the task of fighting the dragon in the end. And so I started stacking up on food, and I made the decision to go and get some extra obsidian just so I can make a nether portal at the end portal itself. And so I popped back into the caves, and 10 obsidian later, it was back home, and it was nighttime for me to go and take a nap. And on day 82, with everything ready, I made the Eye of Enders necessary for me to head out, and well... into the jungle I went. I don't know what it is about traveling in this jungle, but it just really made me feel like Indiana Jones. I should make an Indiana Jones skin. Alright, this has nothing to do with the video, but at this point I changed my skin to Indiana Jones. I have a lot of spare time, I mean, you know. Plus now I can play the Indiana Jones theme in my head. I can't play it in the video because of copyright, but you know, what can you do? I found the stronghold on day 83. Once I found the portal, I got myself a nether portal set up and popped into the nether, and then started making a path back and got back home on the night of day 85 and took a quick nap when I decided it was time for me to get a couple more pieces of bread before I went into the end. So I was looking for some bones in the chest that I had, and I was looking around and... hang on a second. I have potatoes in here. And in this chest I have carrots. How long have I had these for? You're telling me this entire time I could have been making massive carrots and potato farms, and instead I have been working on wheat. Seriously, I have scoured through every single recording I have got, and at no point do I ever see myself picking up the carrots and potatoes. There was a few times where I wasn't recording when I was doing some boring stuff, but even so, I feel like I would have noticed if I actually had these. Nevertheless, at least now I can start working on the carrot and potato farm. Day 86, I decided not to head straight back to the end. I started actually working on a carrot and potato farm. I did have a few extra pieces of bread, decided to just give them for the villagers to, you know, let them to it if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Over time, I'm going to have a nice full village. Once I had everything done by day 87, it was now actually time for the end. I decided to get a few pieces of food before I took one last nap in the camp. I took one last look at base camp one last time before going into the Nether on day 88. And back through the Nether I went and got back to the space. And here we are on day 89 where I got back to the end portal. I probably should have just gone straight into the end there, but I decided that maybe it might be worth looking for the libraries just to see if there's any OP books. Nope, just a bunch of kumpai. Don't smoke. Come on, guys. Alright, finally, seriously this time, let's go find the Ender Dragon. It was day 90. I put all the Eyes of Ender in, and I jumped straight into the end. The dragon fight was simple enough. I did have a few problems with Endermans, but nothing that my slice and dicing sword can't handle. Slice and dicing sword? What does that even mean, Haven? Anyway, thanks to the Infinity Bow, I could have just shot him endlessly. And before you could say Timbuktu, the entire end fight was over. I grabbed the egg and the levels necessary, and then I popped straight home. Once I got back on 91, I had a couple of decisions to make. I could have gone to kill the Wither, or I could go get an Elytra. But if I'm being honest with you, now that we're on day 91, I genuinely just don't think I have the time to do either. So like I say, maybe I'll take on those tasks in 200 days, hint hint nudge nudge. And so instead I just prepared for the potential of 200 days. Let's start with expanding the carrot and potato farms as much as I could. On day 92 I had a nice area set up. As soon as I actually have the carrots and potatoes, we will be flying here. And once I was doing that, I was breeding a couple of extra villagers because the plan was for me to get some looting books from trading. I started the classic villager manipulation, and on day 95, I got the trade that I wanted. At least during that time, I was able to expand the farms a bunch and able to mass breed the villagers to the point where I'm a little concerned that might start a revolution. I had completed trading by day 96, and now I have looting free on my sword as well. I was really satisfied with as much as I got done in the 100 days. Like, seriously, remember when I was struggling so much for food on the first 10 or 20 days? Now look at me. There's still a long way to go before I can call this 100% safe, but for the time being, I'm really satisfied with what I've got. And so I spent the final few days pretty much just expanding the farms as much as I could. And I got to day 100, and in my opinion, there was only one way to end the first 100 days. With some pig step! Woo! Don't forget the pandemonium! Woo! Alright, thanks for watching, everybody.